Good morning. I'm Linda Goeppner with Jasper Engines and Transmissions out of Jasper. So I made the little trek down this morning to share with you a little bit about our statistics that we've been looking into at our company. So a little bit about Jasper first, a little background. So I refer to Jasper Engines and Transmissions as Jasper, and we are a 75-year young company. We became an ESOP, or associate-owned company, in 2009, so the associates truly do own the company, and we make that a very high priority to educate that everyone has a stake in the company. We have over 3,300 associates within the U.S. In 2014, we purchased a company in Michigan, and there are about 1,000 there. So my focus this morning really is on the Jasper side, not the Michigan side. And again, even on the Jasper side, we have the majority of our associates in southern Indiana, but we do have associates throughout the United States, and I'll show you some information on that as well. So we do have a very engaged CEO, more so than many who delve into detail on healthcare. And so we work very closely with our CEO, Doug Bobble. Our organization truly is committed to trying to offer the best quality of life for associates, not unlike probably all of you sitting here in the audience. So we want to focus on how we can help them achieve the best quality of life for themselves and their family members, as well as grow the company through the ESOP. Because again, we all have a stake in the value of the company and the ongoing long-term commitment to our community. So I'm proud to be able to say that I do believe our company truly walks the talk because of the investments being made. And so I can talk about many different aspects. This is just, this slide you see here really just touches on a few of the things that we have done over the years at Jasper. We opened 2 on-site health and wellness centers in 2012 to try to remove barriers and create greater access, because in Du Bois County we truly do have limited primary care physicians. We've tried to offer and continue to offer outreach programs proactively with our medical team. We partner with other organizations to offer diabetic management, weight and other disease management. We have implemented a telehealth program to try to reduce the ER costs, avoid those sinusitis visits to ER, those kind of things. We have 24/7 fitness centers at several Jasper Engines locations. We also have a big investment in offering credits to promote participation in health screenings that we do annually. And then we incentivize to become tobacco-free, which is also a weekly credit in payroll. So just those 2 alone for the Jasper side of things is between $500,000 to $750,000 annually. And then we've had a multitude, as many companies have. We've tried all kinds of different wellness programs, Highway to Health, and just a whole multitude of them. In addition, again, with our CEO being as engaged as he is, even in our quarterly meetings, when he's in the quarterly meetings, at one point he stood up and said, "You know, how many of you are really committed and ready to become tobacco-free? If you are," and he pulled out his money clip and he said, "Come on up, I'm going to give you a $100 bill right now. Hand me your cigarettes, if you're ready." And we actually had probably 6 people just in that meeting who came forward and said, "I am ready, I just needed that push." I'm sure that we had a couple of them who fell backwards. As we know, the statistics on becoming successful of trying to quit. But I want to show you a little bit about our history, and then I'm going to throw a bunch of stats at you. So this is just from our health screen in southern Indiana, so it's a different subset, but it still sends the message of we thought we were making headway of slowly reducing the number of tobacco users in our population. And you can see that it fluctuates, and although the line looks distinctive, it really isn't a wide variation there. So we're at close to 75% of participants in the health screen who are tobacco-free. Last year, we started to delve into some of the detail of our statistics. And this year, we decided we wanted a comparison as well. But I'll tell you up front, it's truly not an apples-to-apples comparison, and I'll explain why. But if you look at those, we wanted to look at what is our trend? What are we seeing in our population? Those hired prior to 1/1/16, we had 21% who identified as tobacco users. And then recent hires, which this group was from January of 2016 through March of 2017. And as you can see, that increased to 33%. Now, this particular group that we were looking at included all associates, whether they were full-time, part-time, temporary, seasonal, and so forth. So as we look at this population, we started to dive down deeper. And quite honestly, being of the older generation, I thought, gosh, you know, it's hard to change more so even when you've used tobacco for so many years. So we thought the percentage of users was going to be higher on the age 60, age 46, and so forth, but it truly was the opposite. As you can see, when you get to age 29 or less, 28% of the population actually is a tobacco user. And then we took one more step and said, well, what does that group look like? I want to caution because, again, this was a visual that we struggled with. We kept going back to the data. So if someone decided not to disclose, that's the 1% that you see. If someone disclosed that they are a tobacco user, obviously they're in the red. And for those who are in the blue that are no, those could actually be people that either said no or that just didn't answer the question, okay? So I really don't think this is that high, and you'll see the new statistics that will support, but we really had no way to validate. So again, a few things on that data as compared to the information I'm going to show you of more recent data. We also changed IT systems from a tracking standpoint. So no longer do we even look at part-time, seasonal, temporary. Our new system only asks the question on being tobacco-free if you are full-time and benefits eligible. So again, I want to point out it's a different subset of rules, if you will. Even with that, you're going to see that our statistics are higher than the state's average. So the top two charts, that's looking at all of our associates full-time throughout the United States. Again, with a major concentration of associates being in southern Indiana as manufacturing in the production realm. So you can see that regardless of if they were hired prior or if they were hired in the January of 17 to March of 18 timeframe, still was a 24%. So then we took a step down and said, okay, what if we looked at just Indiana? And that was, again, the data supported the consistency in this case, excuse me, but it was 25%. So we looked further. In age 30 and up, we saw 23% of our full-time associates who are tobacco users, and then age 29 and under, 26%. So we see this pattern of our younger population, and we kept asking ourselves, why? Why are we, with all the education and all the investment that's going on in the world, in our schools, just in general, why are we still seeing such high tobacco usage? So we looked at the 21 and under, 28%. Again, very concerning. And these are full-time people who are answering the questions. And if they chose not to, they are now in that bucket of the 5%. So they have three choices: yes, no, or I do not wish to disclose. So again, I think that should resonate with us that we have some opportunities, as we all know. And it really does begin with our younger population, because if we don't start changing it there, we're not going to change these statistics, that's for sure. So while we are investing a lot of money, time, effort into the trying to become tobacco-free or reducing that tobacco usage amongst our population, associates and family members, and by the way, if they're on our health plan, then we also extend that tobacco credit and health green credit to the spouse. So we're really trying to do that, but the needle is just not moving distinctively or quickly enough. We do believe that e-cigs, vaping, the opioid crisis are all contributors, particularly when we start talking about the younger population. And we don't think that the Indiana Smokers' Bill of Rights is really doing us any favors. We agree with Dr. Halverson and Courtney, and the age and the tax credit, or the tax on the cigarettes. We really do need to be focusing on those kind of things. And again, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, but the Smokers' Bill of Rights is putting a group of individuals in a protected class and not extending those same types of benefits to the non-tobacco users. And it really ties businesses' hands. And I'm not saying that businesses will then go out and fire. That's not even practical. But I will say that I know factually that there are some legislators that are concerned with what will businesses do. If we allow this, if we remove the Smokers' Bill of Rights, what's going to happen? There will be no control, and we won't protect our population. Well, I think we have to take a step back and look at the reality. The reality is, first and foremost, most companies want to do the right thing anyway. So we would never go in and just fire our tobacco users in our company. And most every other company would be the same way, I would venture to say. Instead, we want to help our associates and their family members become tobacco-free, achieve that better quality of life. And just from a business standpoint, it's the prudent thing to do to help, not to start separating. Even look at our unemployment rate in Indiana and look at Du Bois County. We have around that 2 to 3%. Where are we going to find if we even did do something so drastic, which again, we would not. So there are a lot of other costs associated with just wholesale trying to get rid of individuals, but it truly is tying businesses' hands of trying not to step on or step into violating anything tobacco related. So the Smokers' Bill of Rights really should be removed, although I know that would be a huge challenge. I will also add that, when in any business, you can project a lot of your costs. You can project tools and supplies based on sales, but when it comes to healthcare, that's not necessarily the case. You could have several large cases that hit in 1 year, and your healthcare is going to climb dramatically. We know that tobacco utilization is not going to help any of those healthcare issues or diseases that individuals are fighting. So, in fact, it does quite the contrary. So, and we also feel like there shouldn't be additional protections for tobacco users than what non-tobacco users have. So, with that, you can judge for yourself what the data tells you. I think from our standpoint, we feel like the efforts and investments are worthwhile. It's better than what's left unsaid. At the same time, it's just not moving that needle quickly enough. And we really need to look at the future with our younger population. I also think that if we don't look to our government and legislators, a lot of us, we don't like government intervention, obviously, but in this case, I think we need it. We certainly need the support of our legislators to help us solve this issue, or we're going to continue to look at these same statistics. Thank you very much.